Hello, welcome back. I told you I'd be back. My name is Tara, and I am a 54-year-old woman that is vlogging basically my life and my way of eating. Today, I kind of wanted to talk to you about something more. As you can tell by the name of the video, I wanted to talk about how I ended up quitting drinking. And I want to give you a little backstory and all that fun stuff. So, I'm not sure who this will reach, and I'm just hoping that it'll help whoever watches figure something out for themselves. Not saying that everybody needs to quit drinking. I'm not going to come here and bang that out on you. I will discuss though. I'm hoping this is close enough to me because I've noticed I sound kind of muffled. So I'm going to speak a little louder. How's that? So I have always been a drinker. The only time that I didn't drink was when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had to wean myself off when I found out I was pregnant. And I did that according to how a doctor told me to do it. He said, you go from this to this to this to this, and then within a couple of weeks, you'll be done. And so basically, that's how I did that. There was another time that I quit drinking, and that was because I could not get my hands on it. And I don't even know, like, yeah, if I could get my hands on it, if I would have done it in that situation. So, uh, there were times where I drank a lot, and there were times where I drank a little, and there all those things. So I never got into any trouble because of drinking. I never got a DWI or an OUI, thank God. Um, I'm really happy about that. I'm super blessed about that. Um, I never hurt anybody outside of my poor daughter having to be raised by an alcoholic, basically. Um, that sucks. But we're not here to beat anybody up, and we're not here to beat me up either. Just saying. I just always was a drinker. Never thought I would ever not be a drinker, ever. And when I made my great escape from that bad relationship that I had, one of the things that was coming through to me heavily in that was that alcohol was a major problem in that relationship. Not only was he a severe alcoholic, um, he really encouraged my drinking, and I really accepted that encouragement. So sometimes it was uncomfortable. It would be like a Saturday or Sunday morning trip to the grocery store around 9 a.m., and I'm still on my coffee. And he could not make, he could not accept that I did not open my morning with a White Claw. And so we'd go grocery shopping, and he would go to the aisle, and they actually would sell my White Claws in single form in the aisle. And I'd get in the car, and he'd pull over my favorite drink and pop it and put it in the. I'm like, dude, it's 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to at least 10. I've got to drink my coffee. Like it was things like that. Um, Misery loves company, and he made sure uh, that I did. I used to joke early on in the relationship when I knew that this wasn't going well, that the only reason why I haven't left was because of Lexi and liquor. Now, what does that mean? He had a cat that I just adored, and if you are friends with me on Facebook or you follow me on Facebook, you've seen pictures of this cat. She's beautiful. I believe she's passed away right now. Um, God bless her. She had she had the syndrome bad. Like it didn't matter how badly he treated her. She loved him. And I remember the day I left. This is a side note. She sat in my studio and she kept her head. She wouldn't look at me. because I was gonna take her to save her, but it I might have been hunted down after that. So anyway, Lexi and liquor. Why liquor? Because by the time I got pissed off enough that I wanted to leave, I was too drunk to drive. So during that time with this gentleman, I drank a lot. So, I mean, a lot. We would buy 5 to 7 flats of White Claw a week. Or let me say, he would buy 5 to 7 flats of White Claw. That's 12, 12, 19-ounce containers per flat. And sometimes I'd make it throughout the week with it. Sometimes we had to buy an extra flat at the end of the week. If I wasn't working and he was home, I would start drinking around 10, 11. Um, if he was working and I was home, I would probably start drinking around noon, um, noon to 2 o'clock. So that was huge, and it was a major aspect of the relationship. Outside of the crazy abuse, and it was insane. Bottom line, if he didn't kill me, the alcohol was going to. I no longer had much of an appetite for food. I was a nervous wreck. I mean, I jumped all the time. Like, you could jump scare me, no problem, because I never knew what was going to come out of this guy. And I finally got the courage up with the help of other people noticing. So I wasn't really fully aware of what was going on. It was strange. Okay, I don't know how to explain it. We're not getting into the relationship though, but we are going to talk about it up until what made me say I should quit. So when I escaped, my plan was to slow down, and I did dramatically slow down. I still didn't quit, and I was staying at my friend's house, and she's absolutely wonderful. Her and her husband saved my life, no doubt about it. And I lived there for quite a long time, and we are drinking buddies, all three of us. Um, so it wasn't the perfect environment to slow down my drinking, though I did. But there was still wasn't a day I would go without it. You know what I'm saying? So I knew, and I that eventually that this was going to have to come to some sort of end. And plus, I needed to get on my own. You know, it was starting to become uncomfortable. I was there a long time. It took a lot longer to find a place to live and a decent job than expected. And that's okay because it's how it works, right? So I still didn't think I was ever going to be a non-drinker. I just knew that I didn't want to drink as much. So I finally got an apartment, and here we are. And since I've got the apartment, I've constantly been like, I want to drink less. I want to drink less. Plus, I have some really gnarly stairs to climb. Should probably be really careful with that. You know, like I want to drink less. And so I tried to drink less. And even though I was definitely drinking a lot less than I was in the previous relationship that I escaped, I um I was having a really hard time. I was trying to like limit how much I drank throughout the week. So I would have like 4 White Claws on one day, and I was aiming for 3 days a week that I would drink, whether I spread them out or not. That was my goal, and I was struggling with that. Let me tell you, when you're in the midst of it and you have this particular thing that you kind of like build this habit. So I was struggling with that, and I did that okay for a little bit, but most of the time it wasn't. Most of the time it turned out to be 7 days anyway. But I was really excited because I started building those those single days where I didn't have alcohol. That was kind of cool because that hadn't been the case in a very long time. So I was already, I had already been re engaging with God since I was even with that guy and asking for help. And I started getting frustrated with that on my own. I was still really struggling when I went into the store to not go straight to the beer cooler and grab my White Claw, whether it was two or eight of them. And it usually was 6 to 8 that I would grab. I no longer bought flats. And it was starting to really piss me off. And so I kept praying, God, help me to figure this out because I'm struggling with just the desire. I'm not having morning shakes or anything like that. It's just work is done. I'm ready to drink. So I kept praying, and I know what happens. Sometimes you pray, and God will smack you in the face in ways you don't want Him to smack you in the face to get you where you have been praying to go. So I knew that. And so I was like, be easy on me. Show me just little by little. Like, this doesn't have to be an overnight thing. But I really need to be in a place where the compulsion to go to the beer cooler is gone. I want that gone. And I didn't necessarily say that I don't want to drink anymore, because I still, in my mind, had not committed to that. I just didn't want to drink as much or have it be something that I focused on at all. And so what God did was He took me from listening to, oh my gosh, Mr. Ballin while I worked to the Ramsey Show. And I've always been like anti Ramsey. I don't know why. I've just always been, I think it was from my MLM days, and a lot of the MLMs would try to get you on the Ramsey plan, which is weird because that's not at all how the culture of MLMs are or were. I don't know. It's been a while for me. Um, if you've been around this channel, you know I was a Beachbody girl, um, Visalis. Oh my gosh, artists. I did a couple of ones that didn't last too long, and then eventually, well, throughout the whole thing, the company that I've stayed with, but it's not an MLM, and I don't promote it. I'm thinking I'm going to, though, because it's the best, and I've been using the products for over 20 years, and I don't think a household should be without it. So, besides all that, I'm asking God to help me out with that. And all of a sudden, my desire to listen to Mr. Ballin disappeared. He does interesting, scary stories. And the Ramsey show started popping up, and I started listening to it. And I am uh, a woman that grew up without a father, and I really like strong father figures, and that kind of that did it for me. So I started listening to the Ramsey plan, and I got the um, Every Dollar app, and I'm like trying to figure that out. And you can't do a budget if you don't know what you're going to be making. You just can't. So I'm like, how do I even start this then if I can't load up what I'm going to be making because it changes every single month. All throughout the year, there's dramatic influxes. So I decided, and this is where God led me, to start writing down everything that I spent money on. And I believe it's right over here. I started in September and I did in and out. And I marked how I got it in and what I spent it out. So in September, you ready for this? Oh, no, let's not do September because I didn't quite nail it the way it should have been nailed. October was a month that really did some major movement for me. Let's see where. Oh, October was a long month. So I had been keeping track of everything I spent and everything I earned in September. And then October, I did the same thing. And I realized that I was spending $500 or more a month on White Claws. I no longer had a tolerance for vodka, so I couldn't be buying a handle of vodka. Um, I love it, but there was no way I was going to make drinks when I got home. No, I loved the White Claw. I'm like, whoa. And it came to me in a financial way. And it was time to pay rent, and I didn't have any money for rent. And I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, here's November, and I got to call my landlord. So this sucks. And when I looked at my totals, I realized that I might not have had all the money for rent, but I would have had something. I would have had more than half and had an easier conversation than like, you got to wait. So God totally was like, listen, you need to be at least a half month ahead of time before you even think of buying a White Claw. And I did that. And it was very simple. I'm not saying that I didn't have desires to go to the beer cooler. I had desires to go to the beer cooler, but not compulsive. Not like I couldn't walk away without grabbing it. And eventually, I just stopped even looking at it. But I also had in my mind that I was not going to quit drinking. You feel me? So I went on, and my deal that I had made with myself was you have no business buying White Claws until you are paid for your next month's rent halfway through the month before. You need to be a half a month ahead. And if you can't make it half a month ahead, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You cannot buy White Claw. Okay. So I got there, and I've said this before on this channel. I got really close to it. I believe it was February, and it was time. It was the 15th, and I'm like, I'm looking at my monies, I'm counting everything, and at this point, I am just sending the landlord money every chance I get it. I'm not even holding it till the 1st or the 15th. I am sending it as soon as I get it, and it's the 15th, and by my deal with myself, I had better have had the rest of the rent for the next month, and I didn't. And I looked at my calendar, and my calendar showed I would have it within 3 days. And then I had to wrestle with my brain. Not very long, though. Not very long. And this was God helping me, I swear. Because my brain would have let the devil talk. It always had in the past. And the devil was saying, it's only 3 days. Jeez, what are you doing? It's only 3 days. What's the big deal? It's 3 days. You're going to have it paid in 3 days, so what's the big deal? Your calendar's showing that you'll have it paid in 3 days. So what? Go get yourself some White Claws. And God said, remember your deal? Can you even make a deal with yourself? Because you didn't make it with me, you made it with yourself. Can you lie to yourself? And apparently, I was able to lie to myself all throughout my life, but not this time. I said, darn it, you're right. I'm not lying to myself. And I didn't go get drinks. I I said maybe on the 18th you will, but you got to have the rent paid. That is really close. The 18th I paid the next month's rent, and I had that little argument again. I'm like, no, No, you said the 15th, Tara. You literally did that. So you're going to stick to that. And now, Tara, that you have this crazy desire to go out there and grab some White Claws when you've gone this long. So at that point, that's February 18th, and I quit drinking in November. Like right now, it's 203 days or something like that ago. So I'm like, okay, so how am I going to do this? Because I'm like, I'm going to have, like, I had the next month paid, and then within a couple of days of that, I had the next month paid. So I'm definitely in line for being able to have seltzers because I'm way ahead. I'm a month and a half early on next month. And I'm like, oh, no, obviously I need more time. How do I make a deal? I think God said, you've never given anything up for Lent. Do you even know what Lent is? Do you, what do you think? Take a look at it. So I did. And I said, oh, I have never given anything up for Lent. In Lent, you fast something. You fast something that you really like. So if you're like crazy head over heels for cupcakes, you don't have them. If you're crazy head over heel for, I don't know, red meat, some people do that. I don't suggest it. Um, People give up things for Lent, okay, for God. And I said, well, all right then. Maybe I give up for Lent. And then after that, I can go ahead and have a drink. So that's 40 more days I got to go. And I'm like, wow. So I was a little bit more acutely aware in the beginning of that 40 days that, holy shit, you could actually go get a drink and you're not. Because now you made a promise to God. What on earth? What have I got myself into? Because I'm telling you right now, you cannot make promises to God and fuck up. Just can't do it. And if you know that you want something out of your life and you asking for help, don't make a promise to him that you cannot keep. And if you noticed how in the beginning I knew that and I made the promise to myself. So now I've made the promise to God. I am not going to drink during Lent. And I had to figure out what day was Lent over because I I am I do not have a religious background. I have spiritual background, but not religious. So I looked up the Ethiopian Orthodox, the Greek Orthodox, and the American Catholic, and it all came together around Easter. And Easter is different for both. The Greek Orthodox is way too far out. I think it's like the 8th. And so I went with traditional Easter. And as I was coming closer, I was like, you might not even have a drink. Huh? We don't want you getting angry because one thing that was very signature of me, especially after I left, is if I was drinking and someone pissed me off, I stayed mad a long time, a really long time. So I knew that was an issue. So then as I'm getting closer, I said, well, this is how you'll do it. If you decide to drink, you'll only do it when you're in a really good mood. You'll only stop and get it when you're in a really good mood. So right there, it puts me in the position of I might not even go drink because why would I ruin a good mood? It's not that I would ruin it, but if somebody pissed me off by accident, it would destroy the day. Do you feel me? Do you understand? I had just been in a situation for years that I had to shut myself down so much that once that cap was off, um, I had a lot of chips on my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? So that was the new deal. I have to be in a good mood. And I had a great Easter weekend, really nice weekend, and it was awesome. And when it was over, I said, you know what? You're in a really good mood. You've had a really great Easter weekend. Why don't you go down to your store that you like to go to, that you go to all the time? Cute cat, man. He's crawling into the covers to get comfy. Oh, God, that's cute. Anyway, it's rare that I ever catch him doing that. And I went in there and I was like, I want a whole flat. I want the whole flat. In my mind, I said, I'll probably have 2 to 4 of them tonight, and then I'll spread them out. And whenever I feel like having one, I'll have them. I won't have to stop and get them. And I'll break that cycle of having to stop to get them. But now it's a whole flat. There's 12 19-ounce White Claws in my house. And there's a really nice dirt road from that store to here. Really nice one. And so I popped one of my White Claws. I'll only have one, or when I drank, I'd only have one White Claw during that kind of drive because you don't want to be intoxicated when you're driving down a dirt road. And you don't want it any road. But so I popped one on the way home and I'm like, holy wow. Good thing I only have one. Woo wee. I get home and I lug them up the stairs. Oh no, I grab a bag and bring half of it up the stairs. I leave the rest downstairs. Was it half? Yes, at first it was half. So I get about 3 or 4 in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I can feel my heart rate is elevated, my blood pressure is high. And I'm like, holy shit. Not now I'm ignoring let's ignore the fact that obviously I am drinking because I have no tolerance. But what I was also very aware of was what my body was doing. And immediately it came into my mind that even though when I was drinking regularly, you would not know that I had a freaking White Claw if I had 3 of them or 4 of them. Very unlike 5, you'd know. But 3 or 4, unless you were breathing my breath, you wouldn't know in the past. That was nothing. And I'm like, my body was doing this and I was completely unaware of it. This blood pressure right now is insane. Oh my gosh. Well, I was already 3 to 4 in, and there's no stopping when you're there unless you want to stop. And so my first night, decided I was going to have 8 of them. Now I've got 4 left. This was a flat that was going to last me at least a week, if not longer. So I was like, oh man. Woke up in the middle of the night with my blood pressure going crazy, and I'm like, golly, I don't like this. And I went to work the next day because, yeah, I wasn't hungover, thank God. I don't know how I wasn't. That's a lot of alcohol for somebody who hasn't touched it. And almost at that point, it was almost 6 full months. It was like 5.5 months. And I'm like, I get off work and I'm like, I'm going to drink those and that's it. I'm going to drink them and that's it. I had 4 left and I drank them. And that was fine. I did not like the blood pressure. I did not like waking up in the middle of the night with the blood pressure because of it. Um, and I'm like, okay, so now I have to reevaluate this as something else. This is different. This is like right back into the compulsion stage. 2 nights of drinking. So I'm like, I wait a couple of days. And then, of course, the little devil gets inside. It says, how about this? If you only want one or two drinks, then that's all you get. Because you're not going to drive to the store after you've had two of them. You're not going to get back out in the car. And that's true. So I said, fuck it. I feel like having a drink today, and two is better than one. And I grabbed two White Claws at the store. I had one on my dirt road and one in the house. So in the house, all winter long, I had had a Heineken. No, that wasn't all winter. I got that after Lent started. And I was so excited because that Heineken, I love it. I'm like, I can't wait to drink this. And I'm going to drink it. And I did. Unfortunately, I didn't drink it in the position where I would like it. And at another point, I had gotten some microbrew. And I have a bottle of wine over there that I got over the winter from guests that leave it behind. And I have some, what's that, cinnamon schnapps? I don't, it has like a little devil on it. I don't even know. I have one of those around somewhere. Um, I drink my second White Claw, and I'm like, let me drink that microbrew. I hate microbrews. I hate them. I can't stand them. But I drank it. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna drink the Heineken, which was the worst thing. I'm so mad because I would like really love to have that single Heineken. Anyway, what it boils down to is I drank them. I ruined my Heineken. I drank a disgusting microbrew, and I knew that there was no stopping for two anymore. Not happening. And I said, what do I do with this? And it was basically, you just don't drink anymore. You're not going to beat yourself up if you end up drinking, but you're not going to do this anymore. You're 54 years old, woman. You can stop being an idiot because the amount of poison in alcohol is insane. It's worse than, you just hating the feeling of compulsion. It's worse than having the occasional hangover. It's worse than the high blood pressure. Alcohol is going to kill you. You already know that your liver is fatty because you fart and you never used to fart before. You already know that your cortisol is still going crazy even though you're no longer terrified. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to get back and talk to God about this. So I did, and he's kept pushing me towards healthier and healthier, and realizing that I had replaced over the winter my compulsion for alcohol with my compulsion for the other Satan, sugar, which is, they're just related. It's the same shit. The same shit's happening to your body. So then I knew I had to do something more. And I said keto because I'd been keto before and it was good. And the more and more I get into it, the less and less I even want any carbs, whether they're complex or they're crazy. I do am really excited that I have a recipe to make carnivore ice cream, and I generally make it now keto because I do add peanut butter, and that is a plant. But still super low in carbs. I am no longer playing with sugar either. And I gotta tell you, I'm so fucking happy about that. And I pray every day that I am kept on track. And God is literally taking that crazy cravings away. I know that if I've got a pint of friggin' heavy cream, I'm gonna be all right. If I really need to have sweets, I can make ice cream. How cool is that? So I just want to encourage you to take Take an honest look at what your life is doing, what you are desiring out of it, and pray to God. He will meet you where you are. How about that? That's what I'm trying to say to you. God will meet you where you're at. And if you're spiraling and it's about to go down, your fucking shit is all fucked up, and all those things, and you're not, it's going to be dramatic. Um, he will meet you where you're at. So I ask you to pray on what it is that you're trying to let go of. And I'm going to look back at this video myself for other things that I want to let go of in the future. You can only go as fast as you can. So I have the alcohol and the sugar, the most dangerous things are gone. I really got to slow down on coffee, but I'll wait. Let me get there, you know? So pray, and He will meet you where you're at. He will show you the way. He will present it to you in a way that makes sense and lessens your cravings. It's got to make sense, and your cravings have to be lessened. Or you may just need to do the battle. And if you do need to do the battle, you need to get to a meeting. There is nothing wrong with AA. It's actually wonderful. There are people that couldn't do it without it. That's their medicine. Um, I haven't been to an AA meeting since I was a teenager. It didn't work for me at all. I didn't like it. I felt like I was just either I was out getting high or I was there obsessively talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I was too, there's something about your brain, man, that takes a while. So I'm sharing this with all of you in hopes that saving humanity is something that we can all do together, and we could do it together with God. I'm just going to put it out there. If you're compulsive on something and you want it out of your life, pray to God. He will meet you where you're at. All you got to do is be willing to not lie to yourself and be willing not to lie to Him. So, with that being said, I am out of here. I'm hungry already. Um, yeah, I hope that this helps. I hope that you find something in this. I know it's a long video, but I'm not here to entertain the TikTokers. I'm just not. I never have been. All my videos are really long. So if you don't mind the sound of my voice, this is going to work. And if you got something out of this and you want to help somebody else, share it with them or make your own video about it. Or make your own video talking about your journey. And you can refer them to this journey because everyone's journey is different. There's no cookie cutter here. It's just not that. Okay? Do your best, pray to God for assistance, and He will meet you where you're at. And as long as you don't lie to yourself or Him, you'll keep moving forward and it'll be okay. You're going to be okay. And I recommend getting a Bible and reading it every morning before you do anything else while your coffee's brewing. Take a chapter, take a couple of verses, and read it. One really cool way to do it is Proverbs 31. It's 31 chapters, one a day. I haven't done that yet. I tried it once and I moved away from it. Then I went to Revelations, read Revelations, and then went to the beginning of the New Testament, read all of that. And I am in the Old Testament now, and tomorrow I'll be finishing Ruth. When I was younger, Ruth was my favorite book, so I'm kind of excited. And this morning, the dog made me read out loud to her. She sat with me, and she was like, every time something got exciting, she looked up at me. Oh my gosh, how cool is that? So I think I'm going to be reading it out loud now to Fancy Pants because she likes it. So I hope that this helped. If you've been thinking about quitting drinking, I hope this helped. There are drugs out there that are really hard to quit right now. Still rely on God. He will meet you where you're at. Okay? You need to let the devil go because we've made these agreements and we need to let him go one step at a time where he doesn't work on you anymore. Okay? I love you long time and I'll see you later. Bye.